This is about Glenn Ford. In 1954, he was asked to do a picture about a Dutch psychic. So he allowed himself to be hypnotized. They regressed him to a past life, and they found out he was a music teacher in Scotland, in some town, whatever it was. And apparently there was a music teacher in that time period who lived there. When they hypnotized Ford, he couldn't play the piano. So they said, well, you're a music teacher, can you play the piano? He said, sure. And he played Brahms, he played Beethoven, he played Chopin. And then they took him out of it and they said, listen to what you played. And he denied that he did it. Ultimately, they even found this guy's grave. A second time he was regressed. He remembered a life roughly in the 1650s of a French cavalry officer. Now, Ford couldn't speak French, but he spoke fluent French with them. But not French. He spoke like Brooklynese. He spoke with a southern accent. He spoke with a gutter type of accent from a certain area of Paris because he was an officer in one of the cavalry and ultimately was killed. There's a whole story with it. But here's the point. That was verified by UCLA. This is the type of story that once connected with 10,000 other stories, the common information can be dropped out. And it equalizes us. It equalizes the radical, fundamentalist Muslim and the Southern Baptist. Quantum biology. Your body is made up of cells, they're made up of molecules. The molecules are made up of atoms. The atoms are made up of protons, electrons, neutrons, which are made up of subatomic particles like quarks and boson vectors. And then finally, it's just an energy field, because that's what these subatomic particles break down to. Now, we all know we're made up of DNA, but they just recently found a different code below the DNA. And frankly, if this is ordered and this is ordered, they will find a code below that. In short, our very consciousness is written on that energy. And once we have that, we haven't defined the soul because everybody has a different take on it. We've defined is a quantum formula for that consciousness beyond death that we call the soul. I don't think anybody has ever seen a house built where once it was done, they then decided to install the foundation. It's the same idea here. That's on that energy, and that energy is immutable. And now we're beginning to chase our own consciousness from life to life as scientific sleuths, because it's leaving a trail. Fractal geometry. I know. You know, my friggin' wife tells me not to talk about this stuff. The only way I can explain fractal geometry quickly is to take a piece of broccoli. There'll be a voiceover and you'll see the broccoli. Each node is self-similar to every other node. Each one is an iteration, and those are the two main points about fractal geometry. But they are part of a common whole which self-replicates. Now, your life can be described mathematically as one of those nodes. Fractal geometry invades everything. And the point here is the YOLO people out there. You only live once? You can't only live once. The math argues against that supposition. How's that for a closing statement? The math argues against that supposition.